We're back at Vandermeer Speedway just outside of Denver, Colorado for the third running of the NHRA Mopar Parts Mile High Nationals. There's more Top Fuel racing to come, but let's look back earlier today. This was Casey Spurlock in the near lane. He had a bye run, no competition, but all of the smoke out of that engine told us he had big problems. Don Garlitz?
This crack, this is what caused all that smoke. This engine hydraulic. Up here on this mountain, it's very difficult to burn a lot of fuel, but you must burn a lot of fuel if you want to make horsepower. And sometimes you go over the edge, the piston comes up, the liquid won't compress, and that's what you get, the big crack block. This block is ruined. Now, this team is putting in a new engine. They're trying to get ready to race Hoover in the next round. There's a thrash going on here. There's only so much time, and they must get everything right. Now, this car has been completely taken apart, as you can see. A lot of parts and pieces here to go back together and be perfect.
And Don, some interesting stuff going on over in Tom Hoover's pits. Now, we knew his 84-year-old father, George, crew chief the car, but we didn't know his mom, Ruth, got into the toolbox very often. Ruth, I think Ruth is funning us, Don.
I think so. It's a good thing Spurlock don't see this. It might upset him just a little bit.
All right, let's continue on with round number 2 of Top Fuel. And this will pit Gary Ormsby up against that man over there in the far lane. That is Jack Ostrander. And when you get up on this mountain, there are no easy ones. Ostrander is always a good, solid, middle-of-the-pack runner. Ormsby has won the last 2 races in a row, but I guarantee he does not take the man who runs the bowling alley in Pontiac, Michigan lightly. You can see it in his eyes. He wants to win an NHRA national event. Gary Ormsby, he has won more of them than we can even remember. As I said, the last 2 included. So he's looking for the hat trick here in Denver.
A lot of pressure on Ormsby because, like you said, Steve, no one is counted an underdog on this mountain. Anyone can come up with a win anytime because they're just shooting out there like a shotgun trying to get a combination.
Don't forget, too, Don, that Ormsby qualified number 1, but had a bye run in round 1. So he is sort of 1 down as far as development time is concerned here.
Oh, but you can see the flames come up first on Ormsby's engine. That means he left first, and he arrived at the finish line first. But what a race Jack Ostrander gave him. You saw the crew chief for Ormsby, Lee Beard, stare twice at that wind light to make sure it was theirs. A 5:38 beat a quicker 5:34. Watch the lead, Don.
Gary Ormsby makes his patented deep stage, gets Ostrander off the line, and it looks like he's just going to drive away. But Ostrander comes up with some horsepower in the middle of the course and actually catches up. And this is where you see that starting line advantage pay off. Ormsby pulls by for a very decisive win.
Oh, Don, in a sense, it's deceiving, though, because the numbers tell a slightly different story. Gary, a better reaction time, 0.419 to Jack's 0.523, although a lower ET for Ostrander loses.
Well, Gary, you're always quick to credit Lee Beard, your crew chief. You won that one with a huge hole shot.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I didn't seem to run that well on that run.
It did not, a 5:38.
Yeah, I felt it was pretty soft all the way down.
Well, the Bernstein crew was just applauding on their way back to the pits because they have lane choice over you in the next round.
Oh, well, we'll have to try to get this thing to run a little better. Lanes ain't going to make no difference.
What do you think it is?
It's dropping cylinders. It's lame from the minute I step on it.
Well, that's usually the element on the mountain.
That's for sure.
I can tell by Gary's eyes that crew chief Lee Beard has got his work cut out for him.
Maybe make it run on all 8 cylinders for openers, huh, Don?
You bet.
As we go to more round 2 Top Fuel action, Joe Amato versus Jim Head. And Amato has won the last 2 races here at Vandermeer in a high altitude. So he's got the combination, at least he and Tim Richards do.
I tell you what, if I had Tim Richards' high-altitude recipe, I could be richer than Joe Amato by selling it to the competition. Jim Head, Columbus, Ohio, Westerville, actually a suburb, graduate engineer, and applies a lot of science to his race cars. You'll see all kinds of little doodads and tricks on the machine, a very narrow front end, anything to try to get that ET down. They are pre-staged. Amato on the right-hand side of your screen or near lane. As Brock said, he's won the last 2 events here on the mountain, is the toughest competitor in the rare air. A good start. Oh, but Amato just pummels Jim Head. Oh, a 5:13, 274. Incredible. Let's go to Don Garlitz with the man, Tim Richards.
Nice new fat track record.
Well, this track is a lot better than it was. This is the best this track's been the whole race, and of course the air's gotten a lot better. That run head was scaring me pretty good with that wheel stand he had going there, but we're thankful to run that fast here. Thanks.
Remember, Don, 5:13 to be slow at most racetracks, but at 5,000 feet, that's real quick.
You bet. In fact, that's a track record. Watch Head's Flames come up first. He actually stepped on the throttle, but the clutch did not react because Amato moved out first. Then a wheel stand by Head. If he hadn't had that wheelie bar, you know what happens when they go to the moon. But the wheelie bar saved him, even though it pushed him over toward the center line. But Amato, the class of the field, continues to charge.
Okay, more round 2 action and Top Fuel. A couple of Franks. That is Frank Bradley. He will go against Frank Hawley in the Darrell Gwynn automobile. They're getting fired up. But first, let's go to Steve.
Well, Joe Amato has just become the big noise on Thunder Mountain with the quickest elapsed time ever recorded at altitude 5:13.
Tim Richards and guys, they're making the horsepower, Steve. Mile high, I guess we're mile high and we're going fast.
Also, the clutch man is doing his job. The first time that your tires haven't been blistered, much like we just saw in Kenny Bernstein's car.
Yeah, we've been putting a new set of tires on every run. It's been just burning the centers right out of the tires, you know.
Not this time.
Well, the track's getting better. You know, it's cooling down, and Timmy said the track's a lot better than it's been all weekend. He thought Hornsby was going to run a 5-10 there, but he didn't. He must have dropped the cylinder or something. But we'll just hope we can get to the final here and keep going along with getting them valuable Winston points.
Well, you got to start all over again, Don. You know, track record, you completely forget that when you go back down to the other end, don't you? It doesn't mean a thing right now.
About the only thing it means, it does have psychological impact on your competition.
And the competition, whoever he may be, hoping that Amato is running right on the ragged edge and maybe will overpower the track in the next round. Well, I'll tell you, it's a big name spell at the hands of the two we're about to see. Frank Bradley from California dropped Shirley Muldowney earlier in round number 1. And Frank Hawley, who qualified number 2, beat Dick LaHaye in round 1, who you seldom see go out early on the mountain or anywhere else. And now the two are side by side.
You know, Steve, if I had to handicap these cars, I'd have to say, you know, Frank Bradley can make a lot of power anytime he wants to, but Hawley has been running good. You know, that number 2 qualifying spot, that's tough. But Frank is not going to lay down and play dead dog.
It's just dark enough now. You'll see the nitro flames, and you saw the flames come up first on Frank Bradley because he left first, but doesn't have the power to run with the Darrell Gwynn car and Frank Hawley. Hawley at 525, 260 miles per hour. Bradley at 545, 252. Let's go to the starting line again. Don Garlitz with crew chief Ken Venny.
Well, you're plenty consistent, but it's going to have to step up a little bit.
For sure. We tried to beat Bradley is all we tried to do, but now we lost lane choice, and hopefully we won't need it. I mean, hopefully the track will be even enough.
I don't think there's any difference in the lanes.
Not right now. I don't think so. Thank you.
Okay, that does it as Venny heads for the other end. We've got the pairings for the final 4 here at Denver. It will be Frank Hawley versus Joe Amato. Joe has lane choice. In the other pair, a suddenly resurgent Kenny Bernstein against Gary Ormsby, and Bernstein surprisingly has lane choice. And now let's go to Steve.
Well, frankly, Frank, that was a nice win over Frank.
Yeah, a lot of Franks there. You know, we went out and we watched Amato run a 13 right in front of us,
wow.
and he's really going to be tough. I think we have him next round. I'm not real sure, but we might have run a team, but the car smoked the tires, did have to lift off the throttle, so that probably hurt it quite a bit.
525.
Well, I think that's pretty good considering, you know, I did get off the throttle once, so hopefully we're going to get that clutch dial in a little bit and maybe give Amato a race next round.
Well, Frank had to get up the throttle, and we have to get up the racetrack.
And we got some more racing coming up, including this automobile, the Oldsmobile of Warren Johnson. He is going to face Mark Powick in Pro Stock round 2. That and a whole lot more coming up.
We're back at the Mopar Parts Mile High Nationals outside of Denver. You KC Spurlock fans, well, you can heave a little sigh of relief. The new engine is in the car. Here you see it being test-fired. Buzzy Carter from the Eddie Hill crew coming over to lend a hand in the yellow shirt. They should make it to the staging lanes easily for round number 2, which is right now getting underway. Head-on burnout shot of Ed McCullough, the Larry Minor-owned Oldsmobile-bodied funny car. They'll be up against this young man, Mark Oswald, in the Paul Candiz-owned Ford Pro bodied funny car.
So a couple of real veterans, guys that have won a ton of events between them. Very difficult to choose. No apparent difference in the lanes right now. Is there, Don?
We got a dead even racetrack, and I'll tell you, that's what the racers and the fans love. They don't want to know who's going to win before they come up to the line.
No, absolutely not. And I think a lot of credit has to go to NHRA Safety Safari for making sure that those lanes stay as equal as possible with all of their traction compounds and jet heating devices and everything else. Now, Ed McCullough qualified number 4 and ran up against a Denver rookie from right here on the mountain. Lynn Soroka dispatched him easily. Mark Oswald qualified right behind the ace in the number 5 spot in the 560, and he beat California driver Gary Denjamin round number 1.
So it's going to be interesting. These cars, as Don said, almost exactly dead even as far as their performance here at Denver. And certainly you can't give either one of these drivers any edge as far as experience or driving skill is concerned.
I guess if I had to fault them, it will be tire smoke is what will ruin this race. Ed or Oswald could smoke the tires.
Well, it's Ed away first. Ed McCullough near lane, darted to the rail, drove it back. Mark Oswald shuts it off for reasons that were not obvious to me. McCullough wins it at a 5:55, 252 miles per hour. Let's go to the starting line. Don Garlitz with McCullough's crew chief, Bernie Federley.
Ed looking pretty good today.
Well, the track's tightened up a little bit. Looks real nice out there now, and I think we can get down there a little bit quicker if we have to, depending on the weather change here for the semifinal. We'll see how it goes, but things look pretty good right now.
Well, let's see how things look for this crew. This is Roland Leong's Hawaiian automobile with Jim White on board. Remember, Roland talked about the problems here, the setup at Denver. He'll go against Jerry Caminito in that beautiful blue and white automobile, and Jim White will have lane choice.
But Caminito has looked extremely well up on this mountain. Got a good combination.
Well, so does this man, Jim White. Don, he qualified number 2 at a 5:56. So, as Roland said earlier, I think they understand the problem here at Denver.
Very good burnout by both cars. Very professional.
And look at that fire. Now let's go to Steve.
Well, Ed McCullough did not quite take Mark Oswald's track record away from him, but the quickest time of funny car racing this long weekend, 5:55.
Well, we'll take that. You know, the racetrack obviously is getting a little better. More cars going down the track. It's cooled off a little bit. You know, we'll take them one at a time.
I stood on the edge of the racetrack and had a head-on view, and your car started to move around about 1,000 feet.
Well, you know, Steve, these things go out there in about half track. I mean, they get real loose. It's been doing it all weekend. You know, we need about 3 or 4 inches more spoiler on the back, and they'll go down here.
They're not going to give you that.
I wish.
The rules, I mean.
Yeah, you remember 2 years ago, NHRA dramatically reduced the size of these spoilers. The cars had started to look like pickup trucks, for God's sake.
Well, not so now, and the cars are squirrely because of it. As we watch Jim White backing up and getting ready to go.
And no one has had more fun sightseeing around here than Jerry Caminito. You see, they just don't have mountains like this in Brooklyn, New York. This is the furthest west that Caminito and his crew have ever been. They came here with a lot of confidence. Well, maybe until they run up against this guy, Jim White, from Tulsa, Oklahoma. A lot of people have said it, including yours truly. He's just a win, looking for a place to happen in that car in the near lane.
That's right, Steve. He has run so good so many times that some little fluke always happens, and we know that sooner or later he's going to get there.
Will it be here on the mountain in Denver? It is Caminito away first. In twilight, we see the nitro flames licking at the sides of those bodies. And Roland Leong, that's about the most emotion he will ever show, because by 1/100th of a second, they just took low elapsed time of the event for funny cars at 5:54, 253 miles per hour. So now it is Jim White, the man to beat.
And some of Kenny Bernstein's fans would like to think he might be the man to beat in the Top Fuel Final Four. We'll be back at Denver.